Ah, F word. Oh, that's scary. Alright guys, what's going on? So it's spring break for me. I just kind of finished my last week. I have about a week off of school, which means spring break, we're gonna get to work. So I got a bunch of stuff I gotta do on a bunch of different cars around here. The engine for the truck, wiring on the Galaxy. I actually would like to get my Galaxy driving in this week off, because the brakes work, the motor should run. It ran fine when I put it there. I haven't changed anything. Transmission worked fine, rear end worked fine. I 4-linked it, tubbed it, did all the work that I did on the sheet metal side of things. All it has to do is get wired so I get power to everything, and as long as it starts, it has brakes, it should drive. So don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna try this next couple weeks to try to get that car at least moving under its own power. I have Marty coming down to help me do a bunch of the wiring. That's what he does for a living, so he's a lot better at it than me. Kind of hold my hand and walk me through the process through that whole shebang. But anyways, in today's video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the Foxbody, and it's a much needed thing. So actually on the interior of this car, I do drive this car every single day, about 60 miles a day, 30 to school and 30 back. One of the things that I absolutely hate about this car are the gauges that came in it. So actually this gauge was mounted like way down here before when I got the car, and then this one was actually stuffed into the AC vent before I replaced it, and it was literally just a gauge right there, and the AC was deleted. Since then, put the AC system back in it. It's not charged yet, but I do have these two gauges here. There's no lights ran to them, so you can't see them at night, and they don't really work very well. They're both mechanical gauges. This one's just, I think, an odometer one. The lower one's just this like cheap Ecus one that you would get at like O'Reilly's or AutoZone. These are not cutting it. So at night I need to be able to see what's going on. I need to be able to make sure exactly what temperature this thing's getting at, because it's been overheated more times than I'd like to admit. Not just by me. I know if I've done it, the previous owners have probably overheated this thing a bunch. And oil pressure is one thing I want to keep in mind with this thing. And if we're actually going to track this car eventually, I want to make sure that everything is exactly the way it needs to be. So what I have here are 3 pillar gauges that we're going to replace. These are AEM digital gauges. These are all brand new units. They're all electronic. There's no mechanical gauges anymore. I don't like mechanical gauges personally. I know everyone has their preference. A lot of people think mechanical gauges don't lie. The reason that I personally do not like mechanical gauges, if you have, let's say, 3-4 feet of line getting the oil pressure sending unit up to the gauge, you will actually almost always have an air bubble in the system that can alter your reading on the gauge. So that's something that I like to eliminate. I like to just run a power wire to a sending unit that's right where it's picking up from oil pressure. Same with water, same with everything else. So what we're going to be doing is oil, water, AFR. I wanted to do AFR to see how this thing is running. It'll tell me the computer's doing its job and how everything's working there. But we're going to go ahead and unbox this thing, get through it, and we're going to start one gauge at a time, and hopefully we'll have some pretty cool pillars by the end of this. So I think the one I want to start with, if I can, is the AFR gauge, because that one's going to take me the most. So you can see these gauges are actually really, really cool. These are pretty pricey, I will admit. These are not sponsored. I bought all these. They're really nice finish. I like how they're digital. I can set up a warning light, which is probably my favorite part about this. Is so let's say I don't want to get above 220 degrees or 210 degrees even on this car. I can go ahead and set a warning and a peak, and it'll tell me where the hottest it's got, and it'll warn me if it's getting up to or past that temperature. So this is really, really cool. Something I needed. And as you can see, probably just by the packages of these are all identical faces. I like them to be symmetrical. So this is our AFR, and then our oil pressure. Same thing, we can set up a peak and a warning light on that as well. So for whatever reason, this thing likes to burn oil, it eats its own oil, which I do have a fix for pretty soon. But if it decides to get low on oil and I don't see it initially, it'll tell me when it drops the oil pressure. Let's say I come to a stoplight, put it in neutral, and the idle drops down, oil pressure drops, it'll tell me, which is really, really cool. So yeah, let's get these things in. So the nice thing also about these is they pretty much come in a pre-plug and play harness. We have our O2 bung that we'll go ahead and we'll weld into the car. And then basically that will plug into the harness. The harness will plug right into the gauge, so I just feed wires. It's actually pretty easy. The most difficult task of this entire install is probably gonna be welding this in. You send me a bung? What the hell? Oh, they did, never mind. Yeah, there's a bung right here. I was like, why would you spend so much money on a gauge and not get a bung? Okay, there's a bung right there. Cool. Alright, so underneath here, you guys can see I got to work with. So I actually had to redo this exhaust. I redid it a long time ago. Well, right when I got the car, it was like dragging on the floor. So a lot of the exhaust system is kind of mangled together. A lot of you guys asked me though what's on this. So it has BBK equal length headers up front, the shorties. Then it comes down, no cats because those are for slow people. And then it has a Truax pipe right here, which now I'm looking at it, I don't think that's actually connected in the center. It might be. But anyways, it's got a knockoff X-pipe. Spin-Tech mufflers, those are probably the most important part to make it actually sound decent. And then it's just 2.5 all the way out the back. This whole thing is 2.5, I didn't mention that before. So yeah, sounds pretty dang good. I like it, and yeah. So I gotta read where it tells me to put it, but I know it said at least a 10-degree up angle. I'm hoping I can do it down, I don't know. It's at least 10 degrees, not horizontal. I'll probably try to weld it on the inside of this. Maybe I'll weld it on the outside here, and then I'll run it up with this. I believe this is a speedo cable, and I'll just follow it all the way up to the inside the car that way. So yeah, we get out the welder and drill this hole. Also, I want to point out, look at these absolutely just OE frame rails and floor pans. Look at this. These guys have jacked this car up literally anywhere that they wanted to. On this side, even better. We got the over the rainbow bent frame rail right here, and so much so, you don't need a staple jack stand. It's fine. Dude, this floor is so mangled, my circular drain plugs aren't even circles anymore. They're like guitar pick looking things. Alrighty. So, it says 18 inches from the cylinder head. So 18 inches puts us basically somewhere right at this bend, which is good. Somewhere right there. Now I need to figure out what angle I want to put this thing, because I got to keep in mind I can't drill up here, so I might rather put it down and up a little bit so it's kind of in the same position as the O2, but I don't want the O2 to block it. So that's kind of the dilemma that I'm facing. I could also stick it over here, but again, I luckily have a right angle drill I can use, but I gotta also make sure I can weld the whole thing. So if I get over here, I can drill that, and I could probably also weld it up on the top on this side. So I want to figure out what angle I want to put this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and drill it out and land it in the only oil spot on the entire car. Nice, that's cool. You don't want it horizontal because you don't want anything less than basically 0 to horizontal. You're worried about condensation getting in it, so you want at least 10 degrees so the condensation can drain out, but you don't want it vertically on the very top, because if it's on the very top, the hot air will rise and it'll smoke the sensor. So you want like a happy medium, but that's becoming a little bit more difficult to find than I wanted. I mean, I could also use the passenger bank, but I don't want to have to run a wire across. Just pull the transmission to drill a hole. That's the other thing, I gotta make sure I can get the tranny out, that this bung isn't like hitting it. Ah, frick. I hate cars. Okay. Break time. Oh, is that really out of focus all the time? That sucks. Alright, so I got my hole set for our bung. Get it to sit in. So, if you want to install gauges, the first thing I recommend doing is driving your crappy car like this to somebody else and tell them to do it. 'Cause this is stupid. Ah! Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh wait. Okay. Should be able to grab that, feed the rest of the wire up, run it into the cab, wire the gauge, come back down here, tighten it all down, fire it up, make sure it works. Cool. Oh. Oh. That hurt. Ow. I hate jack stands. I hate them. Alright, so what I did, as you guys saw, I basically fished the wire up down from by the bell housing where the O2 sensor was. You can see the plugs right here. So basically it comes up from down there, fishes all the way up to this plug right there. And then I actually, like I said, I just used the speedo cable hole and basically ran it right into the same spot. So it's super easy to pull through right there. There's plenty of room. It actually just, the plug and everything just went right in. And then I basically just pulled all the spare wire out to the seat, pulled it all flush right here. Now what I'll do is I'll pull this guy back down, unplug all the crappy stuff that I'm not gonna use anymore, and fish the wire basically up by the speaker hole. That's actually why my speaker does not have a cover on it like that side does, just because I knew I was gonna do this. So pull these guys out, fish all my wires up through here, and then basically route each one individually and plug them all in and throw the gauges in. if I remember right, this is how stupid this design is. I literally have to feed the temp sensor all the way through the car to here. I don't like how gauges are like that. That's why I like electronic ones. You can just plug them in a lot of senses, so I don't have to, like, I can take this whole case out and work with what I need to and then plug it back in. No, like this one, the oil pressure sending unit, I can at least unthread right here. The water temp, I can't. It looks like you can, but I tried it. No, you can't. It's stupid. Yeah, not a fan of these. So what I'm gonna do is basically undo the housing and get a little wrench, take that guy out, and start taking it apart. Yay! Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap our water temp sensor because I do have to pull it all the way through the back. I'm pretty positive that it will not leak water. It didn't the last time, but now that I'm filming it, it's probably going to now. Oh wait. Oh, yep. Ah, F word. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really hot. Alright guys, so this is kind of what we were working with. So I pulled all the gauges out. You can see this is them in the cluster. This is a LMR pillar pod set. I don't know if I mentioned that. I believe it was LMR. But yeah, these are all the gauges in it. Looks freaking rad. You can see on the back side, they'll just kind of, I can use either a rubber band or the actual clamp. So I'm going to try to see if I can get the clamp to fit to hold them all in. But they fit quite well. They're actually like almost the same outer diameter as the pod, which is cool. So basically all I got to do now is wire them. This is the order that'll be in. This is the order that was in the car. Water, oil, AFR up top because it's right in my face. So yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and get all the wires sorted. Most of these wires I won't use because they're set up for cars with OBD2, which I don't have. Yeah, I'll just follow all the instructions and probably not read and just look for all the pictures, and yeah. Alright, so what I did, so basically plugged all the gauges into their proper harness, then basically took them all together. I'm going to loom this, or just at least zip tie them together. Then ran it behind the speaker down to the floor of the car, where basically all of them come out right here. Now, what we have is our AFR one is the one that I ran up back here, so that one's already plugged in. Then I have its own basic power wire to give power to the gauges. That's basically what these three are for each gauge. You can see I have three basic looms down here. Pretty much all the colors within them are the same. Some of them won't even be used, so I'll just put some heat shrink over them and cap them because I'm not OBD2. Just basic things like ground, switch power, key on, 12-volt hots, consistent, stuff like that. So I'll find all those, and then we have basically our water temp, and our oil temp is on a plug. And so basically I'll fish this through the firewall, run it into the engine bay, plug it into where it needs to go. That's really all there is to it. So then I'll basically just make this all clean and pretty and put it back up. But look how cool that looks. Look at that, these gauges are worth more than the whole car. Nice. Okay, so I got it all installed. It was very difficult to film by yourself. So basically, there's a tiny little hole down in the kick panel area underneath, basically right behind the clutch pedal that you can run wires through. It drops out just below this master cylinder. So I ran our two sensors over. You can see our one water temp one right there, and then our oil temp one is right down there, and it plugs in nice and all clean and like so. So I went ahead and I used those two guys. Those guys are plugged in. On the other side, we only use power and ground. The only thing we do is we just turn these on. So the only thing I did is I came down here and I basically cut short and spliced all of the power wires and the grounds together, ran them in series. You can actually see it right here. I just did it kind of quick and dirty because I need to go somewhere. You can see just right there. Went ahead, you can see all my speaker wires zip tied together. Big no-no, I gotta fix that. But basically just ran all the power wires in series, ground in series, just grounded it right here to the inside of the kick panel. Nothing too big. It's just kind of real quick and dirty. Nothing's kind of finalized, but I just need to make sure everything worked. I'll probably leave it for a little while though, to be quite honest. None of the other wires in the harness we use because we don't have an OBD2 port or any sort of data log or anything. So we just need something to turn the gauge on, ground it, and then we have the sending units that go to the actual engine. So I turn this thing on, we have power. So we're sitting at 90 degrees. Oil pressure is at 0. So in theory, it works. Water. I think I still need to set this up, so it's not going to do anything. But these are pretty dang cool. There we go. Oh, look at that. Wow, she idles kind of lean. Water isn't gonna move. Oil looks good. Kinda low. It's alright. Alright, I'm gonna clean everything up in the car, kind of drop it back on the ground, get it washed off. We have a little car meet we're gonna do tonight, so I'm gonna head down there. I'm already late. as usual, I'll catch you guys up when we get there. Oh yeah. So cool. Alright, so we just rolled up to a local meet. Really like good amount of people here. I'm actually impressed. Every single one of my friends bailed on me. I had like 5 of my friends coming down here. All of them bailed. I'm here by myself. That's kind of a bummer. So I'm probably not going to be here very long, but still walk around, show you guys some of the cars. It's a different meet than what you're used to. It's like you have to really walk to find something cool. Okay, maybe I lied. Yeah. Well, lock my keys in my car. Only I would be the guy to lock my damn keys in my car at a car meet. Oh well. Locksmith guy's already here, so that's cool. Looking at night, pretty rad, not gonna lie. So there's our temp. Our oil pressure is nice and healthy, baby. Yeah, send her all the way. Oh yeah, it's alright. Actually take my keys out of it. God, that was so embarrassing. Alrighty. So if you guys are wondering if you want to do a pillar setup in a Foxbody, I guess there's your answer. But I'm pretty happy with this thing. It's coming together little by little. We just need to fix the window trim around the edge of here. We need to fix the cowl. I actually do have the paint and another hood to repaint the front of this. And if one of my buddies is watching this, I'm trying to get the fenders for the front of this so we can actually basically do all the new front end of this thing. I want to see if I can find someone with a nice LX front bumper that isn't destroyed like this one, and then we'll redo the entire front of the car. I did get a crack in my windshield on the way home from school, which was really annoying. You can see that, so it gives me kind of an excuse. This window has a bunch of rock chips in it anyway, so it kind of gives me an excuse to pull a glass, do the cowl, and just redo everything from basically the cowl forward. So, but yeah, because I'm not one of those guys that washes their car before a car meet because I'm always running late. I always end up washing my car after, so that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, oh, nice and clean. Nice, love to see it. Such a good old 90s car. Not sure how long you're supposed to let that thing heat up for. Oh, there we go, right there. Alright guys, well we're back with a semi-clean car, so I'm pretty happy with that. The gauges look awesome, so much nicer. The only thing I have to do, because I already got it up above the operating temperature again that I wanted because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have my fan on when I was going slow. I definitely need to set the CT parameters to make it actually like flash in my face when oil pressure is too low, temp is too high, that kind of thing. So I'll probably do that tomorrow a little bit, and then might actually throw a set of coilovers in the back of this that I got, so stay tuned for that. I have a clean car, I'm tired, I'm going inside. I'll catch you guys later.